Welcome back to the channel today. We're talking about Erik ten Hag and his future at Manchester United off the back of the start of this season. It's not even just this result, and to be honest, last season there's so many talking points to kind of go into, but we've got to start off with the loss on the weekend. 3-0 yesterday, they lost to Spurs at home, which is an absolutely appalling result. Spurs and Liverpool have now outscored Manchester United at Old Trafford this season. It kind of just explains just how bad the full situation it is, and it's kind of really dividing a lot of Manchester United fans and football fans in general. Should Ten Hag still be the manager? I'm going to go into this. So straight away, I'm going to start off and say, I think he should be sacked. And I don't enjoy saying that a manager should be sacked, and I don't enjoy doing that. I kind of try and give managers kind of the benefit of the doubt and try to give them as long as possible, because I think it's very reactionary to go, they've got to be sacked straight away. But we've given this guy over a year now. He's had a full season last season, and don't get me wrong, it was an okay season. It was a decent finish in the end, but I think kind of expectation, I think they kind of got lucky at the fact that the other teams didn't progress at the way they did, but then all those sides have progressed. We've seen the likes of Chelsea performing better this season, Spurs at times as well, kind of everyone, Arsenal as well, and Man City carrying on at the level they were at before, Liverpool improving. All of that kind of, the top 8 have all kind of moved on, but Man United seem to be honest, regressed rather than progressed. And the worrying signs is the fact that he's bought all of his players. He's got in players like Matthias de Ligt and players like that, and it's not really worked at all for them this season. And I think the biggest problem is, and my biggest stipulation when talking about Manchester United, is the bigger picture. When we spoke about the big picture, and I always use Arteta as kind of a really good focal point and a standpoint on this, and you looked at what was going on at Arsenal when he first came in and results weren't going their way. They're back-to-back finishes in 8th, and a lot of people go, he's got to be sacked, it's not working. But you could understand what they were trying to do. You could kind of see where they were aiming for, what they were trying to do. Just even on the pitch, what the way they were trying to play and the systems and the way players were kind of improving. I don't look at anyone at United, to be honest, other than Diego Dalot. I can't think of one player that's improved under Ten Hag in his time, in his tenure. And I think that's really the worrying sign. Whereas you compare it to Arteta, who kind of bled through so much youth and other players, and it was quite exciting for the future. Whereas you look at United and I can't see it. And not only that, you can't understand their system. What are they trying to play? What are they trying to do? And that's my worrying sign. And I think that's the biggest point and the biggest talking point when this whole situation is kind of discussed. I look at it and I'm trying to understand what Ten Hag's trying to do. I'm trying to step back, kind of remove myself from the situation and try and give him the benefit of the doubt. But I can't think of anything. I kind of look at their results so far this season. The last 5 games, they've got 1 win and 3 losses. They've lost 3 games at home already this season, and they're only 7 games into the season. Liverpool and Spurs are the top goal scorers at Old Trafford this season. It's mental. Man United have scored 1 goal at home in the Premier League this season. It's just simply not good enough. And you look at it, they've scored 5 goals and conceded 8. It's really not good enough. And the joint points with Brentford, they should not be competing with sides like that. And I know it's early on in the season, but you kind of look at it as a whole. And I think yesterday, was a really damning game. I think it's probably the worst performance I've seen from a Man United side, because I think it's going to sound crazy me saying this, the scoreline kind of flattered Manchester United. They were absolutely dreadful. Timo Werner could have got himself a couple of goals. At times, Solanke messed up a few chances, as well as Brennan Johnson. They were very, very good. And they allowed Kulusevski to absolutely dominate the side. Kulusevski in a 10, which is something that's new and kind of only been tried out this season, but he absolutely dominated them. You shouldn't be allowed. A player like that, no disrespect to Kulusevski, he's a great player, shouldn't be able to create as many chances as he did. He created more chances in this game, 9 chances, for Tottenham than any player has done throughout this season at Man United at Old Trafford, which I think is a really damning stat. And not only that, then you look at kind of the Bruno Fernandes situation. Yes, I personally don't think it was a red card, and we'll discuss that in another video, and I'll probably discuss that on the podcast that I'm recording tonight. Book out Sam Talks Sport podcast, go check it out. But as a whole, you look at it at Man United, you're trying to understand the path they're taking, where are they trying to go? And I think it's stagnated, it's kind of regressed compared to last season. I think a lot of people like to talk about kind of what's going on upstairs. And before, I used to say that was kind of a deciding factor for me, that it's not all on Ten Hag, there's problems upstairs. Well, Ineos have come in, and I think Ineos have to act, because you kind of look at this as a whole, and I try and understand what they're trying to do. And there's only so often you can keep blaming the people upstairs. You look at Antonio Conte as a prime example. Antonio Conte right now has just taken Napoli to the top of the league. Bearing in mind all the drama that went on with the squad, all the drama with the fact that the 11 isn't as good, and you looked at last season how much they dropped off, that certain managers can still get results out of teams and get teams to play for them, whereas I haven't looked at Man United in a long time where they look like they're playing for a manager. Let's take our mind back to when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was gaffer, and they were trying to get players in like Pogba and things like that. Every single week in, week out, it seemed to be, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer needs to be sacked. Results where it wasn't going, and then all of a sudden they'd pull out a massive result for him, and it looked like the players were playing for him. And I know it's a really lazy narrative that people like to push, but you kind of look at it and think, are these players interested in him? Do they want Ten Hag to succeed? It doesn't seem like it. There's so many moments, and I saw a little moment on Twitter, and I know you can't take individual moments, but Van der Ven, when he got his assist for the Son goal right at the start, Rashford backed out of a 50-50, and I'm not saying it's Rashford's fault or anything like that, but I'm saying that moment in isolation kind of think sums up the whole situation at Manchester United. There needs to be kind of just a complete refresh, and we've spoken about this and the fact that Ineos have come in and maybe the future will change for Manchester United, but I think the gaffer's got to change. I just don't think it's a great situation right now. It is so down and so gloomy right now at Manchester United. That game, there was no atmosphere whatsoever. After 15 minutes, empty. It was empty sound. I mean, and then by 80 minutes, the ground was empty, and that's not right for Manchester United. They need to get in a manager who, and I'm not saying they needed like a Jose Mourinho kind of elk of manager, but they need a manager who's really going to kind of back the project. Somebody that you can see where they're trying to go. Somebody that has a definite style of play. Now, don't get me wrong. I know they've tried this with Ten Hag, but I'm not sure it works. And I think what you've got to look at, and I think some of the best managers do this, you've got to look at the squad, look at the assets you have, and then kind of build around that. Whereas I look at the way Man United are playing, and I kind of look at the system and things, I don't think they've got the players to do it. It doesn't really work out. You kind of watch Ugarte, like he was just getting walked all over, Casemiro, and it's like you're looking at these kind of players, and they're just not suited to this system and style of play. So I just think you've got to change it. Something's got to change. You can't keep playing the same way under Ten Hag and expecting results. And I think that's where kind of after a while you kind of look at it and go, right, Ten Hag, it's just not working. Something's got to change. And if he's not willing to change, I think they've got to change the gaffer. I know it's very early to do so, but this is the kind of situation. It's not improved. A lot of people say he kept the job off the back of that FA Cup win, and it was an incredible win. And we've seen managers get sacked in the past, like Louis van Gaal, off the back of results like that. I think it would have been the sensible thing to kind of part ways. I know that's kind of looking at it, and it's always good in hindsight it's kind of great to say, oh yeah, it didn't work out. But we spoke about this last year on this channel. I've got videos in the past. Everyone was saying this. It didn't really work out, and kind of, yes, he's been backed, but even still, it's just not working. His system and his playing style. We've been here for over a year now, and does anyone know what Manchester United are trying to do? No one knows their best starting 11. No one knows what they're trying to do. And Ten Hag doesn't know this himself, which for me is just ludicrous. That is where the problem is. And I think the only way it can be sorted is to get a new manager in and then kind of build and actually allow this manager to have time. And I feel like we're just going in a bit of a cycle now, because people can go, you're saying Ten Hag needs to be sacked. Why aren't we giving him time? But the problem is he has had time. He's had 4 transfer windows now. He got January last year, summer, and then he's had 3 then, and then summer now, and then he's got this next January coming. But you look at it as a whole, he's had so much money spent on him, and there's no results. There's not even kind of a flicker, and that's the problem. I think with a lot of managers, you kind of, as I said, with the Arteta situation, you can kind of sort of see what they're trying to do. With Ten Hag, I don't understand. Do you know? Please let me know if anyone knows kind of the system that they're trying to play and what they're trying to do. And I think that's kind of the biggest problem. Managers like Graham Potter, even his time at Chelsea, you saw what he was trying to do. And I think that kind of is merited. And I think that's what they need to do. There's no progression. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, there's quite a well-known quote that's come out from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer about, before he was sacked, he spoke about the fact that, yes, I have won something with this squad. But winning isn't everything. It's not about getting back to winning ways. It's about progression. It's the bigger picture. And I think kind of everyone kind of looked at that FA Cup win and thought, right, we're winning the league now. It's going to get better. But it's mental to suggest that just off the back of one game in the final where they beat Man City. Great win, but you kind of looked at the system they played and the way they played. You can't win titles doing that. You can't put every single man behind the ball and counter-attack sides. They didn't even try that with Spurs. I don't know what they tried to do. And yes, Bruno didn't help the situation, which we can go into, as I said, on the podcast. But I just look at it as a whole situation. Something needs to change. And I personally think it's got to be him. That's got to be sacked. And they've got to really have a think about where they're going with this side, what they're going to try and do, and how they're going to go forward as a squad in the future. But as I said, please let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. I personally think it's time's up for Ten Hag. I just don't understand. And I think it's a crazy situation. I think this is probably, and I know that people are going to jump onto me now, I think this is the worst it's been since, arguably, I'd say, since Sir Alex has been sacked. I think this is the worst situation Manchester United have been in, especially the way they're playing right now, because it's just dreadful football. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you guys very soon. Thank you.